The Mafia boss held his daughter's shoes, the only thing they found after the explosion. The small pink sneakers were still warm when Dante Moretti pulled them from the rebel, his hands shaking so violently he nearly dropped them. Dust coated everything: the collapsed walls of the daycare, the screaming sirens, the faces of his men who wouldn't meet his eyes. But those shoes, with their light-up soles and frayed laces where Sophia always refused to tie them properly, were clean, impossibly clean. Someone had placed them there. Someone wanted him to find them. And in that moment, as his knees hit concrete and his vision blurred, Dante Moretti, the man who'd built an empire on fear and blood, realized he'd finally found something he couldn't control: the image of his daughter's empty shoes burning into his mind like a brand. Wait, before the next turn. If this story already has your pulse racing, tell us where you're watching from. To stay close when hearts break, debts are paid, and vows are whispered under city lights, subscribe and don't blink. Now, back to the scene. The hospital waiting room smelled like disinfectant and lies. Dante sat alone, the shoes clutched against his chest like a prayer he didn't know how to say anymore. His men lined the hallway, 12 soldiers who'd kill on command but couldn't look at their boss holding children's sneakers with blood under his fingernails. Mr. Moretti. The doctor's voice was too gentle. Dante hated gentle. Gentle meant bad news wrapped in soft words. We need to talk about— Where is she? Dante's voice came out raw. He hadn't realized he'd been screaming at the sight. Where's my daughter? The doctor exchanged a glance with the nurse. That glance said everything. Sir, there were no survivors found in the blast radius. The explosion was— Then why are her shoes clean? Dante stood, and 6'3" of barely contained violence made the doctor step back. Everything else is covered in ash, blood. But these— he held up the sneakers— these are pristine. Someone took them off her feet. Mr. Moretti, grief can make us see. I don't grieve. The words tasted like ash. I hunt. And someone just declared war. The war room in Dante's estate was silent except for the hum of computer screens and the quiet rustle of papers. 15 dead, Marco said quietly. All civilians. The daycare was in the basement of an office building. Your daughter's class was on a field trip. Sophia was supposed to be at the aquarium. Supposed to be. Dante lit a cigarette with hands that still trembled. He hated that tremor. Weakness. But someone knew she'd be there. The teacher, Mrs. Chen, called in sick last minute. Replacement teacher brought them back early. Marco pulled up a photo. Anna Volkov, 26, started at the daycare 3 weeks ago. Dante's eyes fixed on the woman in the picture. Dark hair, delicate features, soft eyes that probably fooled everyone. Background: clean, too clean. Teaching degree from a small college upstate. No social media presence before last year. No family listed? No. She's a ghost. Dante crushed his cigarette. Find her. Find her before I do. Because if I find her first, there won't be enough left to question. They found Anna Volkov in a motel 40 miles outside the city, in a room that smelled like industrial cleaner and fear. She was packing when they kicked in the door. 3 of Dante's men with guns drawn and orders to bring her in breathing. She didn't scream. That was the first thing that struck Dante when they dragged her into his office an hour later. Most people screamed, begged, cried. Anna Volkov just stared at him with those soft eyes, turned hard, her chin lifted like she was the one in control. "You're him," she said, not a question. "You're the woman who killed my daughter." Also, not a question. "I didn't." She stopped, jaw tight. "I didn't kill anyone." Dante moved slowly around his desk. He'd learned long ago that slow was more terrifying than fast, gave people time to imagine what came next. "You called in the field trip cancellation. You brought those children back to that building. And my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, was in the blast radius when it went off. I didn't know. Her voice cracked just barely. I swear to God, I didn't know. Then why run? Anna's hands were zip-tied in front of her, but she still managed to look defiant. Because men like you don't ask questions. You execute first. Smart girl. Dante leaned against his desk, Sophia's shoes still sitting there like an accusation. So tell me why I shouldn't. Because I'm the only person who knows where your daughter is. The room went silent. Even Marco, standing guard by the door, stiffened. Dante moved so fast, Anna flinched, the first sign of fear should shown. His hand wrapped around her throat, not squeezing, just holding. A promise. What did you say? The shoes. Anna's voice was steady despite the hand at her neck. You found them clean. You found them placed. Because someone wanted you to know she wasn't in that building. Then where? I don't know yet, she met his eyes. But I know who took her. And if you kill me, you'll never find out. Dante's hand tightened fractionally. You have 30 seconds to make me believe you. Alexei Volkov. The name came out fast. My brother. He's FSB, Russian intelligence. He orchestrated the bombing as cover. The real target was Sofia. He needed leverage against you. Why would Russian intelligence need leverage against me? Anna's laugh was bitter. Because you're standing in the way of a $30 million arms deal. And Alexei's betting you'll trade your shipping routes for your daughter's life. Dante released her throat, stepping back. His mind was already racing, cataloging, planning, hunting. If you're lying, I'm not. Anna rubbed her neck where his fingers had pressed. I was supposed to be the inside contact, get close to Sophia, gain her trust, make the snatch easy, but She stopped. But you what? But she drew me a picture. Anna's voice went soft. Of us at the aquarium, said I was her favorite teacher, and I realized I couldn't. She looked away. So I sabotaged the plan, changed the timing. I was trying to warn you, but the bomb went off early. Someone else is working with Alexei, someone in your organization. Marco's gun was out before Dante could stop him. She's lying. This is a distraction. Maybe. Dante's eyes never left Anna's face. Or maybe she's my only chance of getting Sophia back alive. Cut her loose. Boss. Now. Marco holstered his weapon but didn't cut the zip ties. Dante did it himself, his knife flashing in the low light. Anna's wrists were red where the plastic had bitten in. You have one chance, Dante said quietly. Help me find my daughter. If she's alive, I'll let you live. If she's not, he held up Sophia's shoe. These will be the last thing you see. Anna rubbed her wrists, her eyes on the small sneaker. She's alive. Alexei needs her alive for the leverage to work. But we have maybe 48 hours before he realizes you're not going to negotiate. Because I don't negotiate. I know. Anna stood, and despite everything, despite being in a room full of armed men who wanted her dead, she looked directly at Dante. That's why we need to move fast. Before he decides, a dead daughter sends just as strong a message. The safe house was 30 miles into the mountains, accessible only by a single winding road that Marco's men had already secured. Anna sat across from Dante in his study, a laptop open between them, looking more like a war council than an interrogation. Alexei's careful, Anna explained, pulling up encrypted files. He doesn't keep hostages in Russia, too risky if things go wrong. He has 3 properties in the area. An abandoned factory in Newark, a storage facility near the docks, and a private estate in Connecticut. We hit all 3. And tip him off that you know she's alive, he'll move her. Or, Anna stopped. Say it. Or he'll kill her and cut his losses. Anna's fingers trembled on the keyboard. Alexei's not sentimental. If the plan fails, Sophia becomes a liability. Dante lit another cigarette. He'd smoked more in the last 6 hours than he had in months. Then we don't tip him off. We figure out which location and we hit it clean. How? You tell me. You're his sister. Anna's jaw tightened. Half-sister. Different mothers. And I haven't seen him in 8 years. Not since I... She stopped again. Not since you what? Dante leaned forward. You said you were supposed to be the inside contact. Why would he trust you? Because he trained me. The words came out flat. FSB runs sleeper programs for children of agents. I was 14 when I entered training, 16 when I realized what they were making me into, 18 when I ran. And he found you. 6 months ago. Said he'd forgive everything if I did this one job. Said it was just surveillance. Gather intel on your operation, nothing more. Anna laughed, and it was the saddest sound Dante had ever heard. I was stupid enough to believe him. Dante studied her. This woman who'd been in his daughter's classroom, who'd held Sophia's hand during story time, who was either the best liar he'd ever met or the most broken. You really tried to warn me? I sent 3 anonymous tips to your office, called the police with a bomb threat, even tried to get Sophia's mother to keep her home that day. Anna met his eyes. I did everything I could without exposing myself. It wasn't enough. Sophia's mother is dead. Dante's voice went cold. Car accident when Sophia was 2? Don't research your marks better? I know Elena's dead. Anna's voice was equally cold. I meant her grandmother. Your former mother-in-law, who has supervised visitation every other weekend because you're not exactly Father of the Year material. Dante's hand slammed on the desk. Watch your mouth. Or what? You'll kill me? Get in line. Anna stood, and there was steel in her spine now. You want to find your daughter? Then stop posturing and start thinking. Alexei's smart. He won't keep Sophia somewhere obvious. He needs a location that's secure but mobile, somewhere he can move her quickly if needed. The docks. Marco spoke from his position by the door. Storage facility near the water. Easy exit by boat if things go south. Anna shook her head. Too exposed. Too many variables. Alexei likes control. Then where? Dante's voice was dangerous. The estate in Connecticut. Anna pulled up property records. It's registered under a shell company. 5 acres, private road, no neighbors for miles. Guest house on the property, separate from the main structure. That's where he'd keep her. You're certain? No. Anna's honesty was brutal. But it's where I'd keep a hostage if I were him. And we're genetically similar enough that I know how he thinks. Dante made a decision. Marco, pull satellite footage of the Connecticut property for the last 48 hours. I want thermal imaging, movement patterns, everything. Anna, he turned to her. You're coming with us. I figured. If you're lying, if this is a trap, I won't kill you quick. I know. Anna's eyes drifted to Sophia's shoes, still sitting on the desk like a shrine. But I'm not lying. And when we get her back, I need you to promise me something. I don't make promises. Promise you'll tell her I tried. Anna's voice broke just slightly. Promise you'll tell Sophia that her teacher tried to save her. Dante looked at this woman, this ghost with soft eyes and a killer's training, and saw something he hadn't expected. Genuine grief. If my daughter's alive, I'll tell her you're a hero. If she's not, I know. Anna smiled, and it was the saddest thing Dante had ever seen. You'll make sure I don't live long enough to regret it. The raid on the Connecticut estate was planned for 3 a.m., the hour when even trained operatives were at their lowest alertness. Dante had 12 men, enough firepower to level the property, and a bone-deep rage that made his hands steady for the first time since he'd pulled those shoes from the rubble. Anna sat beside him in the SUV, wearing a Kevlar vest that was 3 sizes too big and holding a gun she claimed she didn't want. If we're wrong, she started. We're not. Dante checked his weapon for the third time. Your brother's smart, but he's arrogant. Arrogant men make patterns. And if Sophia's not there, then we move to the next location. And the next. And the next. Dante's voice was ice. I will burn down every building on the East Coast if I have to. Anna was quiet for a moment. Then, she talks about you, you know, at the daycare. The other kids would talk about going to parks with their dads, having movie nights, playing catch. And Sophia would just say, Anna's voice went soft. She'd say her daddy was busy keeping people safe. Dante's jaw tightened. I know what you are. Everyone knows what you are. Anna turned to look at him. But she doesn't. To her, you're just daddy. The man who reads her stories about princesses and dragons, even though you hate fairy tales. The man who learned to braid hair from YouTube videos because she wanted to look like Elsa. Anna's eyes were bright. The man who's about to start a war to get her back. It's not a war. Dante's voice was quiet. It's an execution. The estate appeared through the trees like something from a Gothic novel, all dark windows and stone walls, isolated and imposing. Dante's men moved like shadows, taking positions around the perimeter while thermal imaging confirmed what Anna had predicted. 3 heat signatures in the guest house. 1 small. Sophia. Dante's heart, which he thought was too scarred to feel anything beyond rage, lurched in his chest. Marco, you're with me. Anna, I'm coming. Anna checked her weapon. He's my brother, my mess. I'm coming. Dante wanted to argue, wanted to lock her in the SUV where she couldn't betray them or get herself killed. But something in her eyes, that same defiance she'd shown when his men dragged her in, made him nod. Stay behind me. You see Alexei, you let me handle it. And if he sees me first, then you better be as good as you claim. They moved through the darkness like predators, Marco's team taking point while Dante and Anna circled toward the guest house. The door was reinforced steel, overkill for a Connecticut estate. Confirmation they were in the right place. Marco set the charges while Dante counted heartbeats. 4, 3, 2. The explosion was barely a pop, shaped charges that took out the locks without alerting the main house. They were through the door in seconds, weapons up, and Sophia was sitting on a couch, watching cartoons on an iPad, a juice box in her hand. She looked up when they entered, and her face, her beautiful, undamaged face, split into a smile that made Dante's weapon drop. "Daddy!" She ran to him, and Dante caught her, scooping her up with arms that shook. She was warm, alive, real. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and apple juice, and Dante buried his face in her hair and felt something in her chest crack open. "Baby girl," he whispered, "I've got you. I've got you." "I knew you'd come." Sophia's voice was muffled against his shoulder. "The man said you wouldn't, but I knew you'd find me." "What man?" Dante pulled back, checking her over. No bruises, no cuts, just his daughter, whole and safe. "Sophia." "Who?" "Me." Dante turned, and Anna was gone. In her place stood a man who had her eyes and her cheekbones, and a gun pointed directly at Sophia's head. "Hello, brother-in-law." Alexei's smile was cold. "So glad you could make it to the family reunion." Marco's weapon was up instantly, but Alexei didn't move. He just stood there, gun steady, eyes on Dante. "Tell your men to stand down," Alexei said calmly, "or I shoot the child. You shoot her, you die screaming." Dante's voice was conversational, but his body was coiled. "There's no exit that gets you out alive." "Perhaps," Alexei shrugged, "but you'll still have a dead daughter. Is that a trade you're willing to make?" "Daddy!" Sophia's voice was small. "I'm scared." "Don't look at him, baby. Look at me." Dante shifted, putting his body between Sophia and the gun. "It's okay. Everything's okay." "It's really not." Alexei stepped closer. "You see, my dear sister was supposed to deliver you both a lovely family package. Instead, she developed a conscience. He tusked. Always her weakness. Too soft, just like our mother. Where is she?" Dante's eyes scanned the room. Where's Anna? Dealing with the consequences of her betrayal. Alexei's smile widened. "Don't worry, I'll make it quick. Professional courtesy." The gunshot came from behind them. Alexei jerked, his weapon dropping as he clutched his shoulder. Anna stood in the doorway, her own gun smoking, her face spattered with blood that wasn't hers. "You talk too much," she said flatly. Always did. Marco was on Alexei in seconds, weapon to his head. But Dante's eyes were on Anna. She was swaying, one hand pressed to her side, where red was spreading across her vest. "The guard," she said, voice tight with pain, "in the main house, got a shot off before I—" She stumbled, and Dante handed Sophia to Marco. "Get her out," he ordered. "Both of them. Now." "Boss!" "Now." Marco hesitated, then scooped Sophia up. She reached for Dante, but Marco was already moving, speaking softly to her about ice cream and presents, and everything would be fine. Dante caught Anna before she hit the ground. Her blood was hot on his hands, and he hated how familiar the sensation was. How many people had bled out in his arms? But this was different. "You're not dying," he said roughly, pressing his hand to the wound. "You hear me? You don't get to die." "Not planning on it." Anna's laugh turned into a cough. "But maybe let the professionals handle the first aid. I am a professional at killing, not saving." But her hand came up to cover his, and her fingers were cold. "Sophia, is she safe because of you?" Dante looked at the woman bleeding in his arms, the ghost who'd materialized with a gun and a conscience she shouldn't have had. "Why'd you come back? You could have run." "Tried that already. Didn't take." Anna's eyes were starting to glaze. "Besides, someone had to save your dramatic ass. Can't let you die before you teach Sophia to tie her shoes properly. She knows how. She just doesn't want to. Stubborn, like her father." And his eyes closed. Tell her I'm sorry about the aquarium. We'll go next time. You'll tell her yourself." Dante lifted her, ignoring the way blood soaked into his shirt. "Because you're not dying in some Connecticut guest house. You're going to live, and I'm going to make sure you do." The bullet had missed Anna's vital organs by inches. Luck or divine intervention, depending on who you asked. The surgeon called it a miracle. Dante called it a debt unpaid. He sat in the hospital waiting room for the second time in 48 hours. But this time, Sophia was curled up asleep beside him, her head on his lap, her small hand clutching his sleeve. She'd cried when the doctors took Anna away, screamed that Miss Anna needed her, that she had to say thank you, that teachers weren't supposed to get hurt. Dante had held her and lied that everything would be fine. Now, watching his daughter sleep, he wondered if it was actually true. "Boss." Marco appeared, phone in hand. "Alexei's talking. Feds want him, but I can arrange an accident if—" "Let them have him." Dante's voice was tired. "I got what I needed." "And Anna?" "She stays." The words surprised him, but once they were out, Dante knew they were right. Under protection. New identity if she wants it. She saved my daughter. That buys her a lot of forgiveness. She's FSB trained, dangerous. So am I. Dante looked at Marco. "And yet you trust me with your life. That's different, is it?" Dante's hand moved automatically to stroke Sophia's hair, a gesture he'd done 1,000 times, never thinking about it until it might have been taken away. She had a shot at escaping, at vanishing. Instead, she came back, put a bullet in her own brother to save my daughter. That's not the action of an operative. That's family. Marco was quiet for a long moment. "You're making her family? I'm making sure she survives long enough to decide if she wants to be." Anna woke 3 days later to flowers. Not hospital flowers, real ones, wildflowers in a vase that looked hand-picked. Sophia sat in a chair beside the bed, drawing on a notepad with intense concentration. "Hey," Anna's voice was rough. "Shouldn't you be in school?" Sophia looked up, and her smile could have powered the city. "Miss Anna, you're awake. Daddy said you were just sleeping, but I was worried because you were sleeping a really long time, and—" She took a breath. "I drew you something." She held up the picture. 2 stick figures, one big and one small, both wearing capes. "That's you," Sophia pointed to the bigger figure. "You're a superhero now. Daddy said so." "Your daddy's wrong." Anna shifted, wincing at the pull of stitches. "I'm not a hero, sweetie. I'm the woman who saved my daughter." Dante's voice came from the doorway. He held coffee in one hand and looked like he hadn't slept since the raid. "Which makes you whatever Sophia says you are." Sophia beamed. "A superhero!" "I stand corrected." Dante moved into the room, and Anna saw something in his eyes she hadn't expected. Gratitude. And something else. Something that made her heart rate pick up on the monitor. "Sophia, why don't you go show Uncle Marco your drawing?" Dante said gently. "Miss Anna and I need to talk grown-up stuff. Boring stuff." But Sophia hugged Anna carefully, mindful of the IV lines. "I'm glad you're okay. We still have to go to the aquarium." "We will," Anna promised, "as soon as I can walk without falling over." Sophia skipped out, and suddenly the room felt smaller, more intimate. Dante set the coffee on the table and sat in the chair his daughter had vacated. "How do you feel?" "Like I got shot," Anna tried for levity. "But alive, so I'm counting it as a win." "You almost weren't." Dante's voice was rough. "The surgeon said another inch to the left and—" "But it wasn't. I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're in a hospital bed because you put yourself between my daughter and a bullet." Dante leaned forward. "Why?" "I told you why. I couldn't." "That's the excuse. I want the reason." His eyes were intense. "You could have vanished after warning me. Could have disappeared into whatever hole you crawled out of 8 years ago. Instead, you came back, put a bullet in your own brother, nearly died for a little girl you'd known for 3 weeks. So I'll ask again, why?" Anna was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Because she reminded me of who I used to be, before the training, before the missions, before I learned how to kill someone 6 different ways with a ballpoint pen." She met his eyes. "Sophia looked at me like I was good, like I mattered, and I couldn't let that little girl die thinking the world was full of people who didn't care, even if it meant dying to prove her wrong." Dante studied her, and Anna felt stripped bare under that gaze, like he could see every secret, every scar, every moment of her life that had led her to a Connecticut guest house with a gun and a choice. "My organization," he said finally, "has an opening. Head of security. Someone who can think like the enemy because she used to be one. Someone who'll put Sophia's safety above everything, including their own life." He stood. "Job's yours if you want it." Anna's breath caught. "You're offering me a job? After my brother?" "Your brother's in federal custody facing 20 years. You're in a hospital bed because you chose my daughter over your own blood." Dante's hand moved to the flowers. "Sophia picked these. Made me drive an hour out of the city to find wildflowers because she said they'd make you happy. She's already adopted you. I'm just making it official." I can't." Anna struggled for words. "I'm not good people, Dante. You don't know the things I've done. The people I know exactly what you are." Dante's voice was soft. "I'm looking at a mirror. But Sophia sees something different. And maybe—" He paused, and vulnerability flashed across his face like lightning. "Maybe she's right. Maybe we're more than our worst moments." Anna felt tears burn her eyes. "I don't deserve this." No one deserves anything. We just get what we fight for. Dante moved toward the door, then stopped. Take your time healing. The job will wait. And Anna? He looked back. Thank you for bringing my daughter home. He left before Anna could respond, but she sat in that hospital bed, surrounded by wildflowers and children's drawings, and for the first time in 8 years, she felt something she'd thought she'd lost forever. Hope. 3 months later, Anna stood in Dante's office with a new identity, a new life, and a 5-year-old shadow who followed her everywhere. Sophia had declared that Miss Anna needed protecting and took the job seriously, complete with a toy walkie-talkie and a badge made from construction paper. Uncle Marco says you're my daddy's bodyguard, Sophia said, sprawled on the office couch with a coloring book. But I think you're more like a guardian angel. They protect people too. I'm not an angel, sweetie. Anna reviewed security footage on her laptop. Angels are good. You are good. Sophia said it with the certainty only children possessed. You saved me. That makes you good. Anna looked at this little girl who saw the world in absolutes, good and bad, safe and scary, loved and not. She thought about the woman she'd been 3 months ago, running from a motel with blood on her hands and nowhere to go. Thought about the moment she'd held those small pink sneakers and realized she couldn't be the person who made a child disappear. Maybe, Anna said softly, or maybe you just make me want to be. That's the same thing. Sophia went back to coloring, confident in her logic. The office door opened and Dante walked in with Marco, both men deep in conversation about shipping routes and territory disputes. But Dante's eyes found Anna first. They always did now, and something passed between them, something that had been building for 3 months, through late-night security briefings and early morning coffee runs, through shared glances over Sophia's head and hands that lingered a moment too long when passing folders. Sophia, time for bed, Dante said, and his daughter groaned dramatically. But I'm not tired. Yes, you are. Come on, I'll read you the dragon story. Can Miss Anna come too? Dante glanced at Anna, and she saw the question in his eyes, not just about bedtime stories, about everything, about staying, about being part of this strange, dangerous, beautiful family they were building from broken pieces. I'd like that, Anna said, and Sophia cheered. They walked upstairs together, the Mafia boss, the former spy, and the little girl who'd saved them both without even knowing it. And when Dante read about knights and dragons, his voice steady and sure, Anna sat in a chair by Sophia's bed and thought about second chances, about shoes found in rubble and choices made in darkness, about the moment you decide to be more than your worst day. Sophia fell asleep before the dragon was defeated, her hand tucked under her cheek, her breathing soft and even. Dante closed the book carefully and stood, but Anna caught his sleeve. Thank you, she whispered, for this, for everything. Dante looked at her in the dim light of Sophia's nightlight, and his hand came up to cup her cheek. Thank you for coming back, for saving her, for... He stopped, and Anna saw him struggle with words he didn't know how to say. So she said them instead. For giving me a reason to be someone worth saving? Yes. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. And for being someone worth keeping. He kissed her then, soft and careful, like she was something precious, like she was worth more than violence and vengeance, like she was exactly what he'd been looking for without knowing it. When they pulled apart, Anna rested her forehead against his. I'm still not a good person, she whispered. Neither am I. Dante's voice was rough. But maybe together we can fake it well enough to give her, he nodded toward Sophia, the life she deserves. A life where teachers don't kidnap children and fathers don't run criminal empires. A life where people fight for each other, where second chances exist, where, Dante pulled back to look at her, where a woman who should have been my enemy becomes the one person I trust most in the world. Anna's heart did something complicated in her chest. That's a lot of pressure. You took a bullet for my daughter. I think you can handle it." They stood there in Sophia's doorway, silhouetted by nightlight glow, and Anna thought about the path that had led her here. The training, the running, the choice to be something more than what she'd been made into. "I can't promise I won't screw this up," she said finally. "I'm trained to lie, to manipulate, I know what you are." Dante's hand found hers. "I knew the moment Marco dragged you in. And I'm not asking you to be anything else. I'm just asking you to stay."
For Sophia? For all of us. His eyes held hers. "You're not the enemy anymore, Anna. You're home." And standing there, in a house built on violence but filled with a little girl's laughter, Anna realized he was right. She'd been running for 8 years, looking for a place where her past couldn't find her. She'd never imagined it would be in the arms of a mafia boss, in the life of a child who saw good in everyone, in a family built from explosions and choices and small pink sneakers that had changed everything. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll stay." Dante kissed her again, deeper this time, and Anna felt something in her chest, something cold and hard and scarred, begin to thaw. When they pulled apart, Sophia was sitting up in bed, grinning like she'd won the lottery. "Does this mean Miss Anna's my new mommy?" Dante and Anna both froze. "Sophia, we're not," Anna stammered. But Sophia's logic was unassailable. "Daddy kisses you. You live here. You make him smile. Mommy is supposed to do all those things." She flopped back down, satisfied. "Uncle Marco owes me $5. I said you'd fall in love by Christmas." Dante looked at Anna. Anna looked at Dante. And despite everything, the violence, the fear, the impossibility of it all, they both started laughing. "I think we've been played," Anna said. "By a 5-year-old. Dante shook his head. "I'm losing my edge." "Nope," Sophia called from under her blankets. "You're gaining a family. Uncle Marco said so." Dante pulled Anna into the hallway, closing Sophia's door softly. In the darkness, his hand found hers again, and this time she didn't let go. "She's not entirely wrong," he said quietly, "about the family thing. Dante, I know it's fast. I know it's insane. I know I'm a man who builds empires on fear, and you're a woman who spent her life running from them." His thumb traced circles on her palm. "But I also know that when I thought I'd lost Sophia, when I was holding her shoes and thinking I'd never see her again," his voice cracked, "the only thing that kept me standing was rage. And then you walked into my life with the truth, and suddenly rage became hope. You gave me that. You gave me my daughter back." "You would have found her anyway. Maybe, but I might have been too late." Dante's other hand came up to cup her face. "You risked everything to save a child you barely knew. You put family, her family, above your own blood. That's not training. That's not strategy. That's who you are under all the scars." Anna felt tears burn her eyes. "I don't know how to be what Sophia needs, what you need. I'm still learning how to be human." Dante smiled, and it was soft. "Join the club. We're all pretending here, but at least we can pretend together." That's the worst sales pitch I've ever heard. "I'm a mafia boss, not a motivational speaker." But he was smiling. "Stay, Anna. Not because you owe me, not because Sophia wants you to. Stay because when I look at you, I see someone worth fighting for, someone worth changing for, someone—" He stopped, and vulnerability crossed his face again. "Someone who makes me want to be the man my daughter thinks I am." Anna looked at this man, this violent, dangerous, broken man who loved his daughter with a ferocity that had reshaped his world, and made a choice, not for Sophia, not for safety, not for redemption, but for the tiny, terrifying hope that maybe, just maybe, she could be someone worth loving. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll stay. For real this time." Dante kissed her again, and this time it felt like a promise.
like the first page of a story they'd write together, messy and complicated and full of impossible choices. But theirs, when they finally pulled apart, Anna rested her head on his chest and listened to his heartbeat. Strong, steady, alive. "We're going to screw this up so badly," she said. "Absolutely." Dante's arm wrapped around her waist. "But, well, do it together." And somewhere in the house, Sophia was probably listening with her toy walkie-talkie and planning their wedding. But for now, in the darkness of the hallway, with danger still lurking in the shadows and the future uncertain, Anna let herself believe in second chances. In small pink sneakers that had brought her home. In a little girl who saw good in everyone. In a man who'd learned to love more fiercely than he'd ever learned to hate. And in the possibility that sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the one you're born into. 6 months later, Anna stood at the aquarium with Sophia's hand in hers, watching dolphins leap through water that caught the light like scattered diamonds. Sophia was vibrating with excitement, pointing at every fish and creature with the enthusiasm only children possessed. "Look, look, that one's smiling at me." "That's just how dolphins look, sweetie." "Nope, he's definitely smiling." Sophia was adamant. "Miss Anna, can we get a dolphin?" "Your father would kill me." "Daddy wouldn't kill you, he loves you." Said with the casual certainty of someone who'd witnessed countless quiet moments, stolen kisses, hands held under dinner tables. "He told Uncle Marco you're his partner in crime, but also his reason for being less crimey." Anna laughed. "That's not a word." "Should be. You make him happy. That makes it a word." Sophia tugged her toward the shark tank. "Come on, I want to see the scary fish that aren't actually scary." They spent 3 hours at the aquarium, and Anna took more pictures than any normal person should. Sophia posing with penguins, Sophia making faces at an octopus, Sophia asleep on a bench with her face pressed against Anna's arm, worn out from excitement and sugar. Dante met them in the parking lot, and his eyes went soft when he saw them, his daughter drooling on Anna's shoulder, Anna's hand cradling Sophia's head like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Good day," he asked quietly. "The best." Anna carefully transferred Sophia to his arms. She made friends with every creature in there, including a very patient sea turtle. Of course she did. Dante pressed a kiss to Sophia's forehead, and she mumbled something about dolphins and birthday parties without waking. "Did you have a good day?" The question was simple, but Anna heard what he was really asking. Was it worth it? The staying, the trying, the choosing us? "Yes," she said, and meant it with everything she had. The best day. Dante shifted Sophia to one arm and used the other to pull Anna close. "Good, because we're doing this again next week. Apparently, there's a butterfly exhibit Sophia's been researching." Researching? She's 5. She's determined. Like her parents. Dante kissed Anna's temple, both of them, and there, in an aquarium parking lot with a sleeping child between them and the future spreading out like uncharted water, Anna felt something she'd never expected to feel again. Safe. Not because the danger was gone. It never would be, not in their world. But because she'd found people worth facing danger for. People who'd catch her if she fell. People who'd already proven that love was stronger than blood. "Take us home," she said, and watched Dante's eyes light up at the word. Home. Not a place, not a building, but a little girl who believed in goodness, a man who'd learned to hope, and a woman who'd chosen to stay. And somewhere in the car, tucked into Sophia's backpack, were 2 small pink sneakers, clean and carefully preserved, that Anna had found in Dante's office one night. When she'd asked about them, he'd simply said, "They remind me why I fight." For family, for second chances, for the moment when everything could have been lost, but wasn't. For the love that grows in dark places and refuses to die.
As they drove home through city streets that glittered with possibility, Sophia woke just enough to mumble, "Love you, Mommy. Love you, Daddy." And Anna, who'd spent her life running from the word family, felt her heart crack open and spill out all the hope she'd been hoarding. "Love you too, baby girl," she whispered. Dante's hand found hers across the center console, and they drove into their future together, messy and complicated and absolutely perfect.